Welcome to Suhr Dairy and Friends Farm Tours 2020, COVID style. We are going to take you on a tour of all of the exhibits that would normally be here, that all of our volunteers give us, and we will have you go with us on a grand tour to see how it all happens. So I am Levon Suhr. I'm one of the partners here at Suhr Dairy, but remember that Suhr Dairy and Friends Farm Tours actually has over 70 volunteers that make it happen, that bring all the animals and exhibits to you. So I'm only one of many that volunteer all the time. Another one is Emily Suhr, our youngest. Edie Suhr is in the cow costume right at the moment. Eli Suhr is another one. So we're going to take you on a tour. Linda Burgard is also helping us film this and going to be talking some on the tour too. So come on along and we will give you an awesome tour. We hope you enjoy, and we hope to see you all in person in 2021 tours back here where they usually happen, but this is COVID style, so we roll with it. Come along with us.
Fills up with milk, and then the teats are where we take the milk from. It doesn't hurt the cows. It might be a little bit irritating, but it doesn't hurt them, and that's the best part. The units that are on there, it's kind of interesting. There are 4, like I said. The back, they kind of suction like this, and back and forth and back and forth. And that's the way when people used to milk cows by hand. That's how it went. They did not milk like this. They milked one and then the other. We need to show you what happened when the milking units start coming on. But while we're waiting for that, I just would like you to look around, and you notice the cows are standing with their rear ends towards the middle of the milking parlor, and that's what's important. You might notice the side that we're showing right now that the udders, the bags, are much fuller because they're just starting than the udders on the other side. So it's it just takes a lot of people to keep the dairy going. Down at this end, it looks like most of them are finished milking, and you will notice that one of the workers is checking to see if it's how the milk is coming out, if they are finished or not. And then once they are finished milking, there goes water. It just retracts, see? And then she needs to use some special dip called teat dip to put on each one of the teeth so that it kind of, in a way, a little bit like hand lotion to keep them soft and that they don't get cracked and get sore. But it also has to do with some other things with the sanitation. It's important that they put the teeth dip on each one after they're done. As soon as this whole side comes from or how the milk is produced? Well, cows have 4 parts in their stomach, and they will eat hay and corn and other things like that, and we'll show you that in a little bit, some of the things that they actually eat. And it will head into one of the stomachs. At one point, the cow kind of coughs it up and then chews it again, and that's called cud. Have you ever heard of chewing the cud? That's what cows do. And then through the process of going through her system, she produces milk, fills up the udder, and she needs to have it taken from her or she will be in pain and she will get sick. So let's see here. Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna see something happen here in a second. Pretty soon, the workers are going to release the cows that were just getting milked. Oh, did you see the tags in their ears? Every cow gets a type of earring, and that is the number that tells us each cow has a different number, and that's important to keep track of. Do you hear the barking? That's Patches. Patches knows it's time for the cows to walk out. He's barking, telling the cows, come on, get to moving. He's a great cow dog, and you'll hear more about him after a little bit. They are waiting for one to get done. Patches is just a little bit ahead of the game. He's ready for them to move on. On the earring, over here. Do you ever have to go to the bathroom? Well, cows are mammals and they need to go too. So this cow just peed on the floor. Well, that's the way it's done. You will notice that it's slanted a little bit, and so things will drain. And we have scrapers to clean up the manure, the poop, and also the urine as it just goes down and then they will haul it away. Are you seeing their feet? Cows have hooves. They have 4 legs and they have 4 hooves. And you'll notice that it just has 2. There are other animals that have the 2 also. Some animals have 3. But,
Animals have 1.
and some animals have 1. That's right, Emily. And so cows have 2. And they do need to have their feet trimmed every once in a while. We'll show you where the cows get their pedicure. And look at how anxious. These cows know it is time to be milked because their bags are really full. But you notice each one is a little different. And that's because each one produces a different type of milk. On the average, if there would be a little bit of dirt or something. What we have here are called the filters. And this opens up and is put into here so that any extra debris will be caught on the filter and not go into the bulk tank. It goes through and it is cooled down really quickly because I don't know about you, but warm milk isn't the best, and also it needs to be cooled quickly so the milk doesn't spoil. It goes through this whole system here, and then it goes up and over and into this little tiny thing right here. You notice I'm joking because this is huge. This is what we call the bulk tank. This is full of milk because they have been milking today. And as I hold my hand on it, it is super cold. And it's pretty full, I can tell the difference. And on here, it shows you the temperature. And then you'll see there's a little ladder. There's the temperature of the milk right now. It looks like it's about 18 degrees Fahrenheit is what it is. That's pretty cold, and that's important. And they need to keep it that cold because when the milk goes in, it isn't super cold. It isn't warm anymore like when it came out of the cow. But it needs to be cooled down. Now, sometime this afternoon, a big semi will pull in, and it'll be the milkman. On the back of his semi, he will have a big tank similar to this because he goes around to dairy farms and picks up the milk. On the wall over here, there's a little hole. And what the milkman will do is he will stick a hose through there, and then he'll bring it over and he'll connect it right onto here where the drain is. Before he starts to put the milk on his truck, he has to climb up here with his equipment, and he has to open this and test the milk. And I suppose you're thinking, oh, is he going to see if it's skim or whole or chocolate milk? No, that's not what he's doing. He's checking the milk to make sure that it is clean and no antibiotics. If nothing shows up on his sample, he will turn on the motor on his truck that will take the milk from this tank into his semi. Now, I did forget to mention the other thing he does after he tests the milk is that he measures how much is in there, because sewers then receive money for the amount of milk that is in here. And when milk is sold, it is sold by the pound. And he marks it, and then he writes it down, and then that's what's turned in, so that the company that Suhr sells their milk to know how much to pay them. Now, I said, if the milk doesn't have antibiotics in it, then he will take the milk. What happens if there would be antibiotics in there? This milk is no good milk, and it's a horrible thought. But what happens is, instead of hooking his hose onto here, the milkman opens it, and all the milk goes down the drain. It is a total waste. And that, yes, that is not a good thing. And we always say don't cry over spilled milk. But it is a good thing, not for sewers, but it's a good thing for all the consumers, because the only milk that goes to the factory to be made into other dairy products and put into jugs and bags for people to drink is good milk. No medicine travels through the milk. And that's something that people sometimes talk about and say that it happens. But as a former dairy farmer and friends of the sewers, it's not true. Any milk with medicine cannot be sold to a factory and used for human consumption. And I think that's a big hurt. Now, the other thing that has to happen is after the milk milk is sold are emptied out of the tank. The tank has to be cleaned, and so does the pipeline has to be cleaned after every milking. I don't know if you've ever left a glass that you drank milk in and left it sit by the sink. Not a favorite thing for mothers. They don't like to see that happen. But if you try to rinse it out, it just clings to the glass and it's pretty gross. If the pipeline is not cleaned properly after every milking, then the milk will leak inside that pipeline. If the tank is not clean every time after the milk goes out, it will be disgusting. So there are certain processes that sewers have to do in order to keep the milk at its best and make sure that they can sell it, because that's why they milk cows, is to sell the milk. So that shows you pretty much from the cow's udder to the tank to the factory with the milk truck, what happens with milk. And just for the record, it is all white milk. Chocolate milk is made by adding chocolate to it. And we'll tell you more about the cows and the dairy family and things that as we go along on our tour. So we hope that you can enjoy the things that you learn, and we'll just keep going here and see what we can find out. So come along with me. We're going to move right along.
Hi, my name is Suhr, and this is my Pigeon Loft. About 6 months ago, I started out with just a couple of feral birds I caught from my neighbor in the front yard, no wire cage. Then, probably a few weeks ago, my family helped me fix up the old stock trailer to make it into a pigeon loft. And about a couple days after we got the pigeon loft built, my mom's college friend, Liz, sent 2 live birds. They're purebred racers. Retired, both of them. Let's take a look. I got that from one of the boxes that I got sent for the pigeons. This is what the lot looks like from the inside. They have plenty of water, plenty of food, and plenty of nesting material. As you can see, I'm gonna catch about probably all of them. So, and then give you a quick summary on how the birds got in here, what they are. I actually ended up getting 2 of them. These are the 2 birds I was talking about that I got sent from the racer. They're both retired. This one, she is a white grizz, black specks on her. She is, let me get a better grip on her. Give me a sec here. Okay, so if you look at her band, it says 16 on it. So she was born in 2016. They are grizz. She has done a couple of races over her life, but yep. And then the other one I got from Wisconsin.
So the grizz is her coloring?
Yep, the grizz is her type of coloring.
So it's more of a fleck color?
Yep. This is the male that they sent.
He'd like to get away.
If Liz is watching this, whenever, I forgot what he's called. He is between a red check and a silver in his wingspan. He is the male, so he's actually...
Wait, just hold, I want to see that green. Can you see the green coloring in there?
That's the sheen on them. The grizz that does not have any, she is a hen. And most of the feral birds, the hens will have a little bit, but not near as much as any of the males. He got here. He was a yearling, so he was born in 19. I'm gonna catch. The rest of these are all feral birds that were caught out of a barn. So none of these are actually bred to do anything. Okay, these are 2 feral birds right here, fighting. There. I think this is Melinda. Yep, I'll hold her. He actually won the county fair. In his Forage achievement show. I took him in there. He got overall champion. He got overall champion for poultry. Hold on here quick. There we go. He is a silver. I'm not sure how he really came, because he's exactly what you want out of a silver.
Because those red bars go all the way across that part of the wing.
If they went any
both
further.
wings.
Yeah, it's perfect. Exactly what the judge would want in a silver.
And look at his sheen. Can you see that iridescent? Oh, he moved him. There, see that purple?
He's
and
kind of
green?
the alpha male in here. He doesn't like when the other one gets in his space. If you see, a pigeon likes to kind of strut when they walk. And if you see how they bob their head so much, that is because all predators, they have the
Right
side
now he's doing something.
doing a mating call.
Is that what that sound is?
Yep. He does circles around his head. Or it's also to intimidate other males. See? He's chasing off that other one.
And there he is.
See? He doesn't want that other one around his lady friend.
Eli, see if you can catch Melinda.
Yep. The one that I just caught, I'm hopefully going to catch his mate. He doesn't want, his mate's the one in the back. He doesn't want that other red one around her. It's his mate.
Do they mate for life?
Yes, pigeons do mate for life. So once you have them mated, there's no pulling them apart. See him? He's trying to intimidate the other male and impress his head at the same time. There we go. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. Now I caught his hen. This is his hen or his mate.
Because you mated them together? You put
Yep.
them in the pen in the box together for a while?
Yep, and this is a black check. So you can see it's actually almost like a checkered pattern, and that is because each feather is half black and half white, which almost gives it a checkered effect. She's not a very good example of a check because she's mostly black. The next one though is a really nice example of a check, which happens to just count. Hey, grab Melinda. Here. Melinda is like, she's the easiest to see what a check is. She is a blue check. Like, snack her quick.
Here, we got her. She's right here. There's that cow again.
Come on, Melinda. Walk right with me here. Okay. See, if anybody just heard her squeak, because she is still a very young pigeon. She's about half the size. We ended up actually catching her. You can see I can completely wrap my hand around her. She's very small. And we actually caught her out of Linda's barn, right out of the nest. She was old enough to go. Now, you want to come here, show you each. I don't want to pluck a feather off of her, but each feather is half black and half white. Makes the checkering effect. You can see each one. And right here, I actually thought this meant that they were pied a while ago. This little white spot, that is actually a cause of inbreeding. That you can't tell it like their other features, but this little white spot, that's usually a sign of inbreeding.
that can I hold him?
But you would expect that from feral birds because they don't go far, right?
I got him. I got him.
Sweet, and anyone that wants anything to drink?
All right.
And well, that's the end of the pigeon tour. See ya!
Hi, welcome to the Heifer Lot. So here we are on Suhr Dairy yet, and you can see behind me we have lots of young animals. These are all girls. Heifers are actually what we call an animal that has not had a calf ever. So these are all females, these are all heifers. These are comparable to like a teenager in the human world. So these girls are about 6 to 12 months old in there. In here we have approximately, in the next pen we have approximately 12 up to 15 months old. When they are 15 months old, we will watch for when they show us signs of heats, and we will actually inseminate it. That is one of my jobs. A bull does not get into this pen ever. So what we do is we actually artificially inseminate when they say they're in heat, and we use sex semen. That means that we are expecting at least 90% heifers if they conceive when I do it. If they do not conceive, we put them into the next pen where the bull is. So if you can see, these are like teenagers. They're 12 to 15 months old. Just like in the human world, teenagers do not want to be with their parents. Neither do the heifers. We have them in a separate pen. We have to watch. If you can see their feed, it's the same as with cows. It's a special ration called a TMR. It's a total mixed ration. And we have a nutritionist that we hire that actually figures out the precise recipe for these heifers so that they are growing as efficiently as they can. We don't want them too fat because we want them to be able to get pregnant. So it's a science to keep them going. If you can see, we got a cow that's a little loose over there. That one looks a little goofy in the heifer lot. You never know. So come along with me, we'll show you more of the heifer lot. So these are all girls that are close to breeding age, close to when we will watch for heats and inseminate them. And they will tell us when they are in heat. They will actually jump on each other. The nature of cattle, they are actually bisexual, so they will jump on each other to show us that they are in heat and wanting to be inseminated. The semen that we use costs $20 to $25 per time, so obviously we would not want to use it if they're not able to conceive. So come along, once they leave this pen, they go into this far pen. So this is our bred heifer pen. These heifers have all been bred at least one time, and we put them in here until they start to develop an udder. That means that they are close to calving. Within 2 months of calving, we will put them into the next pen that we'll see, which is the dry cow pen, which is the close-up pen. But these are bred heifers in here. They have, again, the total mixed ration for their feed, a little bit different of ration than the other ones have. It's got a little bit different in. You see these girls are bigger. These girls are on up to 22, 23 months old. So the normal heifer will have her first calf, if we do everything correctly, at 24 months old or 2 years old. So can you imagine a 2-year-old having a baby? That's what happens almost daily here. We have that many calves being born a lot of times. So we want them to have their first calf when they are 2 years old, and the conception, or the time that it takes for conception is 9 months, and so I want to always be breeding them about 15 months, and then by the time they're 2 years old, they will be ready to have their first calf. But if you can see, there's one in here that does not look like the rest. Let's see if you can spot it. Do you see anything that looks different than all the rest? That is our bull. This is the only pen he is in. So you can see he's a little different. He's a beef bull. So they are not conceived by when I inseminated them with a Holstein heifer, a black and white heifer that we'll put into the milking barn. The bull, the beef bull, will do his job, and we will get a black calf out of it. And I don't care if it's a black heifer or a black bull calf. We will market them out as a market animal at the steer lot, which we will show you later. So if you can see, he's a big bull. He's probably, I believe he's 4 or 5 years old at least. Might say on his tag. Let me see. I believe it says 2017 on his tag. So he's an older bull. But if you can see, beef cattle are shorter and wider. They are more efficient to feed out to make our steaks and roast that we're so used to having. They actually get market size faster than a Holstein. Holsteins are bred to be tall and to give milk. So this is why we started doing some crossbreeding, so we can get more efficient and have the cattle ready for market sooner. So that is what we have at a heifer lot.
These are dogs. They move the cattle when we need them. When cattle are out, they help cattle get back in without hurting them. They're really good, and they hunt rats. Rats are very bad animals because they have a lot of diseases, and diseases can kill humans.
As you can see right now, Patches is found them out. He's trying to get them out, but a lot of times the rats will burrow underneath the poles, and then they'll actually climb up inside of them. They'll hollow out a complete post. So he's probably a pretty big sized beast in there. That's, if you can come here, where the dog's at, there's a hole that leads right up in there. They hollowed out this post, and there's a whole colony right inside of it. Well, pretty much these dogs are not anything like a regular town dog. They're both bred to round up cattle. He is a red heeler. She is a blue and a red heeler mix.
That one's Patches, and that one's Bailey.
Yep. See ya. Ground corn, silage, earlage, hay, everything's mixed up together, creates their ration. And if you can see all the fans, that is so that none of the cows overheat. It's nice and cool in here. Just like with the heifer lot, they'll have drinking fountains that are open 24/7. You can see over there what that cow is doing. Somebody stole her stall. Once they get in here, they almost have assigned stalls. We have 4 pens. freestyle barn. Bye.
Welcome. We're here to show you a little bit about some of the care that we do for the dairy cows. It's really important that we take care of them and keep them healthy. And one way that we do that is to trim their hooves. Yep, the cows need a pedicure. So we're going to show you how that's done with a live cow right now. So here we go.
Come on, let's go.
We lead the cow into the apparatus here for hoof trimming. Okay? When the the cow, is in the hoof trimmer, they walk through and put their head out, and then their legs stick out the bottom. Very carefully, the farmer hooks the cow in without hurting them at all, and all at once, this whole unit will start tipping on its side, and the forelegs are sticking out just like this, out the side. It does not harm the cow, and it really helps them, because then the farmer, oh yes, here's the one of the straps, and there's the foot of the cow. So there's 4 of those, one for each hoof, one for each leg. And so then when it's tipped on the side, the farmer can easily trim the hooves. And if you look at the floor, yeah, it's like somebody that clips their nails in the house. Kind of disgusting, huh? But these are parts of the hooves that are left on the floor after the farmer trims them. Usually Ed does the trimming, but everybody gets involved. It's a family affair when they're trimming the hooves. Once the hooves are good, the apparatus, they tip the apparatus back down, unchain the legs, and let them out.
And as Linda was talking about with these straps, it's for the safety of the cow and the farmer who is trimming it.
Yes.
When it's on the side, there will be 4 of them for each leg. That way the cow cannot move its legs, so the farmer might actually cut the cow.
Oh,
Or
yes.
so the cow will not end up getting cut herself.
Okay, and inside there are belly straps, and the straps go right under the cows, so that you can see. Eli, will you tell them how often you need to do the hoof trimming?
For the herd, it's about twice a year.
Okay, all right.
Yep, and every Tuesday we have as I was talking about in the freestyle barn with the dry cows, once they get moved over, on that same day before they're moved, we give them a fresh hoof trimming for their new pet. Yes.
Okay. The cows that are in here, this is kind of the hospital right now, or the clinic, and the cows are hanging out here because they have something wrong right now. And so this is how sewers keep them separated until they can medicate them and take care of them and get them back to good health. And that's very, very important. And you'll see that there are a few in there. It's just a place to let them heal and get better. And since we're clipping the hooves, let's
each calf has their own feed and water. And the reason that they are not with their Holstein mothers is because times they're small enough where they can slide through the gaps. And it's easy. I'm gonna have to catch it. Alright, so now we're actually going to go to the larger pen where they go after they are weaned completely off of milk. Over here, this is the larger pen. That is their water fountain. They can go to whenever they like. They're completely weaned off of milk. They have milk when they are that young, but afterwards, once they get weaned, they're on water, grain, and then hay. And if anybody has noticed the fans that are inside this building, that is so there's plenty of air circulation. There's a bunch of air with a bunch of bodies in it is going to heat up. We used to have a lot of issues with them overheating and actually dying. Right here, if you can see what a normal Holstein looks, the black and white, this has not happened in a long time. If anybody's heard of a red Holstein, we actually had one born a few months ago. This is a red Holstein, and you can see that is, she was white and black, he is white and red. It's actually kind of cool if you think about it. While they're in here, they're actually going through
Let's follow Eli and see where he's going. We're still in the calf barn, but there is a door here, so it is a pen adjacent to the calf barn.
Yes, this is the next section of the calf barn. The pen that we were just showing, that is the stage before this. As you can see, they're in here with their pigs. But those feeders over there, they're filled pretty full with corn. And how they work is whenever a calf licks out the corn, some more will come down. It helps a lot for not letting it rot, gains weight. And over there we actually have a section that is completely roofed and it's nice and cool in there. That's why everybody is in there. Same as in the last pen, there's hay, corn stalk. Pretty close.
When Eli and Edie have been telling you how the barn holds all different sizes from a calf that was born today, and then they just keep graduating to the next level, which is the next pen.
The next pen for these guys, for all the heifers that we were showing, that once they're done with this pen, they will actually go to the first pen in the heifer lot. And all the steers from here will end up going to the steer lot.
So it's kind of like kids do. They start out in preschool, then go to elementary, then to middle school, and then to high school.
Right now, they're pretty much in 5th grade. Next up is middle school.
Okay, and here are the
Two sows.
The two sows that he was talking about. A sow is a female pig.
That has given birth.
Yes, that has given birth. Thank you.
And then over there, we actually have a gilt and a boar. A gilt is a female pig that has not given birth yet, and a boar is a male pig.
All right. Now, instead of hogging any more information, we're going to move on to something else.
All right, so we are now at our tractor. This is our one John Deere. We have it hooked up to the manure spreader right now, just to see how big it is. That's Cal and Eli standing by it. I'm going to show you what it looks like up inside. A few steps. All right. So it looks a lot different than a car does. There's no gas pedal. You have your clutch and brake. And all your gauges. We can only reach about 30 miles per hour at our fastest. And that's with like all lights on and everything. Fast as we can go. Then your different levers show what gear you're in, your throttle. More levers. These ones actually work what you're hauling. And yeah, there's several blind spots around a tractor too. As you can see, there's a kid down there somewhere. Alright, so that's pretty much it in here. Yep, she was there the whole time.
If you were driving a tractor, there are a lot of blind spots where somebody could be and you would never know. Right up beside the cab, directly behind it, and in front of it. Those are some of the main blind spots, and there's a lot of others.
Yep, we have to watch carefully because they are so much bigger and you can't see. More stuff. The cow back there yet, we couldn't see her. And another dangerous thing with tractors is the PTO shaft.
Right here, this one actually...
It spins like really fast, and we have done presentations on it before at tours, which we hope to do again in 2021.
So what would happen would be, do you want to explain the PTO?
You do.
Okay, so up there's a PTO shaft. It actually makes things go run inside of them. Say somebody was trying to fix something, standing on top of this. If anything accidental happened that made it start spinning, it would completely wind up your leg. It'd almost be like elastic. Just breaks everything inside of it. There's no getting out of it once you're in. It just knots everything up. Even with bone, it just kind of wraps it up like it's elastic.
And yeah, this is really big. Like, here's the tires. You end up buying them, Eli.
How big a tire is on a spread? Yeah.
Eli's a little over 5 foot, and that's the tire next to him. Alright, Emily. Puts it along.
Hi, this is my chicken coop. We have a few different breeds. This one that I'm holding right here is a Buff Brahma. As you can see, they're orange and black in color. He is a rooster, and so you can already see that his facial markings completely bright red. So Buff Brahmas that should grow up about to my knee height. They're one of the bigger chickens. The silver ones are sapphire gems, and the most productive laying hens that we should have in here are actually the smaller white ones with black spots. They're supposed to produce up to 320 medium-sized eggs a year. They're called California Whites. You can take a look.
It takes about 26 hours for a chicken to lay an egg. That's like the entire process of making the egg and everything. We're going to see what eggs we have. These have already been laid today.
By the looks of it, this egg is from a California White. There's a couple of the older ones that are just starting to lay. So you can see these are actually a lot smaller than you'd expect. If you look at the different colors.
This is a green egg that we have from our Ericanas. Hold it up to the white one.
See?
So yeah.
Ericanas can lay
white.
Easter egg colored eggs. They can have pink, blue, green, or turquoise.
Yeah, it doesn't show up that well on camera, but...
This right here, if you can see it's a bit bigger, this is actually from those hens over there. They lay...
Black ones? Or the brown?
The brown. They are Bruff Orpingtons, and they lay almost like a tannish color egg. Let's see if we got any in this one.
The birds all like sleeping off the ground, so we have perches in here. There's like a wooden piece that lines the walls.
This is a good
And this
example
too they like to sit on.
of a Midnight Majesty Moran egg. They can get a lot darker than this. Probably laid by, there's a good chance it was laid by her. You can see how she's squatting down. That does mean that they haven't had a rooster in a while. That they're trying to get baby chickens.
Yep. At night, all the hens will actually sleep up on there, like they're all standing on.
And if
Every hen in
anybody
here will be
is
up on there.
wondering what that lamp is right there, it's actually a heat lamp. Whenever it gets really cold in the winter, we'll plug this in. It gets really hot and just kind of sheds heat down. So you can take a look in there.
So these white hens and some others were actually hatched in April. We had them set to hatch when we would normally have farm tour days. So this is how big they've grown already, and it's only end of July. Yep, they fit in well with their other ones.
And if you see that rooster that I had, how he's got some of them tail feathers missing compared to the hens, they're still starting to, his tail feathers take a lot longer to grow because they're supposed to get really long compared to the hens. That's pretty much it.
Along with their feed, which is cracked grains, has different proteins and stuff in it. They get a cabbage now, just something for like a summer treat. We actually hang it up, and this was full yesterday. They hadn't eaten that much of it. All right, we're gonna go out here. Alright, so we are now finding the guinea fowl. They roam all over. Don't know if you can see that one. There's one there.
There's actually 4 and then a bunch of babies up inside with them.
Yep. Baby guinea fowl are actually called Geese.
You can see them, they're all bunched up right through here.
Where's she at? They hide in the long grass.
See if you can see the lavender one. Hopefully you can see a couple of babies behind her.
I don't know. We do have a video of the babies on Facebook. And we'll probably put another video on the tour page soon. Yep, they hide in these long weeds all the time. There's one right in there. They roam the whole farm. We don't free range. We don't feed them or anything. They eat all the bugs and everything that we have here. Bugs, ticks, different insects like that. There's one of them. We did have 4 that we actually raised in the brooder. I think they were chicks one year for tours, like a few years ago maybe. And those ones stick together. And now with the one with her Keats, they all stay around her to protect. And will actually attack if we bother them too much. So I'm keeping my distance. I don't know where the Keats are yet though. I don't know where the mom is for that one.
But guinea fowl they actually originate in Africa. Their mamas. That is their origin is actually out of Africa. There was. If you listen closely, you hear a bunch of chirping. That is from her many keys. And here's a fact: guineas actually have up to 30 chicks.
There's a few in there. Alright, let's think we're ready for the next spot.
Let's wrap it up for guineas. Alright, we are in the Quonset shed right now, and this is the chopper.
So in the Quonset shed we have, it's this big hoop building. We store a bunch of our tractors and wagons in for chopping season. I think there's 3 or 4 trailers back there, different wagons. And here's the chopper.
It is one of the names for it is a forage harvester. It is very different from a combine. It does not take the ear or just the weed off. It actually takes the whole thing. It just grinds it all up and sends it out into silage.
So big, there's a ladder to get up in there.
Okay. We're gonna do a little bit of blind spots with this too. All right, so I'm gonna start right here. Say that you're driving a chopper. See her right there? You're looking at the road. You have no idea whether there's anyone right here or on the sides of your rim. There is, if you look behind, there's actually a spout. That is what it goes into the wagon. So it sends all the silage going at a high speed from the chopper head, which would be down here, and it sends it right up into the wagon. Right here, these are all the different gears. If you pull this back, it raises. If you put it forward, it lowers. And then side and side, move it around. A lot of different gears with speed, attaching. And right there, that is actually, you might wonder why there's a camera in here. They're actually cameras put on the chopper. I'm going to head out there and show you a couple of those cameras. There's actually one on the end of the spout, if you can. That camera right there, that's one of them, and then there's also a camera on the bumper. Right there, that is actually a dually tractor, which means it has two wheels each side. That's kind of the GNU scoop pole. Right there, you might wonder, what's that? That is a rock picker. You can go through the field, and then that wheel on it, when it turns, it'll pick up anything that's on the ground. He was going to demonstrate for you. Or not. And those are chopper heads. That one right there, that is for earlage. That one is for silage. We'll end it off with Emily. So right there, that is actually it automatically greases itself. That is full of grease, and all those lines will go throughout the whole chopper.
You guys stand next to the stair too, so I can see how big it is.
Did you go down there and stand next to it?
Because you stood by the other one, so it'll be the same size.
Move!
I'm trying. So,
This is probably one of the most dangerous things you ever do. Be to go inside of one of them tires. If you can see, it's probably about 5'5". That one. This one's about the size of this spreader tire.
just to see how big they are.
This is how big the whole chopper is. So I'm about 5 foot, 15 feet probably to the cab.
Yeah. So here's the cameras back here. That black thing, so that way they can show in the cab, so he can aim this into the wagon that drives beside it. I don't think there's another one in there. Closer look at the heads. That's where it attaches onto the chopper. So yeah. Different wagons, we use those for fall time when we're harvesting everything.
I don't know where she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go chopping along. See you at the next stop. This is our steer lot. It is where the animals get fattened up before they end up going to market. And as you can see behind us, this is actually a semi-chute for when these cattle are ready to go to the market. They will go to the chute, load onto the semi, and go to the plant. follow me. All of these steers are within 4 months at most of being finished out. You can see the difference between a black's height and a Holstein's height, like we have in front of us. If you look at their back height, you can see that they are really short compared to the other ones.
There's the cow.
And they actually finish, this is very surprising, but blacks seem to finish 2 months earlier than a Holstein would. So, once the Angus will finish 2 months earlier, which is 2 months worth of feed. It's a lot more reliable for profit. You can get, you can cut off 2 months. You can take a look. We actually have 2 pens. We're only going to stay in this one for today, though.
There's a whole other pen over there.
This actually surprised us, but according to our fair data, the blacks actually have this is just average. Most Holsteins actually have a better rate of gain than blacks. But the blacks, they stay short and squatty is what we want them to be.
They're all pretty friendly. Curious about what's going on.
Yeah, the blacks should all be short and squatty. The Holsteins, their breed is supposed to be tall. If you can see that white one down there, he's pretty close to getting finished out. Maybe a few weeks off. If you can see, they have all this room. They have a drinking fountain over there, and they also have 2 feeders over there. Well, so we can say, moving.
Is that it for in here?
Our sorting pen. Right there, that is our sorting pen. All those gates that are there, they can actually all be swung out and they turn into a square. Makes it a lot easier to sort. You ain't chasing them around with a giant
More
pen.
gates.
Hi everybody, my name's Bob. I'm with Country View Dairy. We're located over here in Hawkeye, Iowa, and we just wanted to say hi and wish we could be part of the event this year, but obviously everything's changed. So I wanted to give you a little a personal look straight from the creamery. What we do here is we make yogurt is our main product. You've probably had our frozen yogurt. At the event, it's been there the last several years, so we've had lots of different flavors each day, and that's through the help of Union Land Co-op in West Union, and the Fayette County Dairy Promoters are a big part of that as well. So you've probably tried the product before. We do make more than frozen yogurt. We've got the soft served and hard pack cups now, which we have in cow cup form nowadays, but we make yogurt, traditional style, Greek style. We also make sour cream, and in the last year we started packaging our own milk in 1 gallon bags, whole milk, that we have for sale here and some other places as well. So how that all works is we're obviously on a farm, so we've got about 275 cows out here, mostly Holsteins. They're milked 3 times a day, and the days that we make yogurt or sour cream, some of these other products, we pump the milk through this pipeline, 50-foot pipeline that goes from the milking parlor right into the creamery, which you can see they're making yogurt right now. Looks like traditional style yogurt. It goes through the pasteurizer, heats it up to make it safe to drink. From there, we go into the mix tank, add the flavors and colors, and it goes into the cups, in this case into the 5-pound tubs. It still looks like a liquid when it goes into the cup. Our yogurt doesn't set up until it gets to the heat of the incubation room. So, and we'll package all the different flavors that we have to pack, and we have a time limit we have to meet so that it will turn out the right way. So we have to get it back in the incubation room. We keep it there about 6 hours, and it goes into the creamery. or into the refrigerator cooler, sorry. Once it's cooled off by the morning, it is ready to ship out to a store near you. So we do appreciate all the Suhr's help and all the many volunteers that help with this every year, and so we're happy just to be able to say hi and do a little shout out from the creamery here.
So hi, I'm Trinity Brinks.
I'm Tori Brinks.
And my family has been volunteering at the Suhr Dairy, the farm tours, for a couple years now. Today we have some different rabbits, different breeds for you guys to look at and kind of learn about. But first, this is what I call a show table. So the show table is what we take to shows. Basically, you can use it to groom your rabbits. In here we have a tote with all of our supplies. Our supplies are like a dull hacksaw blade. Now this doesn't hurt the rabbit, it just takes all their dead hair out. So it gives them a nice clean look for the show. And nail clippers so that we don't hurt the judge or ourselves or the rabbit. So just some simple things like that. And it's super easy to take down and travel with. So on the table we have what his name is Wrangle. This breed is actually a mini Rex. So the size of this rabbit makes it and considers it a fancy rabbit. A fancy rabbit is basically saying that it is only meant for its fur. Its purpose is its coat for other things like its hide, not for a meat purpose the way this rabbit is. And you can tell the size difference, which would be the fancy and which would be the meat. They also, if you could feel them, you could feel the difference in their coat. This coat is a flyback coat, so it's not meant for its hide, it's meant for more of its meat. This rabbit should weigh, when it's at its full age or full growth, it should weigh 11 pounds, which is much more than this one who is at his final weight, which is 4 1/4 pounds. So there's a big difference there. We've been raising rabbits for 11 years now. We travel to shows all over the US. We've been all the way from Pennsylvania up to Michigan and down to Texas. We learned about all the breeds. There's right now about 48 breeds, different breeds with different purposes. There's different categories like the fancy, which is the smaller rabbit for their hair. There's the wool, which is meant for spinning their wool, so they're not meant for their meat either, but they have a different fur or wool than what the fancy does. And then there's the 6th class or the meat, which is meant for obviously meat purposes only. So today we are wet shearing. There are 2 different types of shearing. There's dry shearing and there's wet shearing. We do wet shearing. The pros to this, we can get closer to the skins, which means we don't have to cut them right away. It's giving us more time for the wool to grow. Also, we don't burn or cut them as often the way you can with dry shearing. Now the first steps to dry shearing, or wet shearing, excuse me, is obviously getting them wet. So first we'll wet down the sheep, then we'll take our shears, dip them in our bucket of water, and then get the shear. With these guys, their skin can bunch, so you want to pull their skin so it's not bunching and you're not rubbing up against the same skin that's already sheared.
What are the pros and cons here?
With dry shearing, you just can't get, it wouldn't cut this short. Like this is all the way down to the skin. We're just leaving a very minimal amount of wool. With the dry shearing though, it leaves a lot more. The blades are a lot sharper, so you can cut you can cut the sheep. It's more comfortable to do the wet clipping or wet shearing for the sheep and for us. We shear our sheep to cool them down in the summer. It also, since I send all
thick wool. We also, when we bring the ewes home from pasture, about a month before their due date, we'll shear only their belly. This is to put on an extra layer of fat on the lambs in utero. After we shear her, since it is fly season, we'll spray her down with a fly spray. We'll also take a skin conditioner, so we're not drying out her skin. We can condition it, revive it.
What type of sheep is she?
This is a crossbred, but mainly soft.
Is her purpose for meat or for her wool?
Her purpose is actually a meat purpose. So she's supposed to get nice and big and then go straight to market. So like all the wethers, after I lamb out my ewes, any wethers will go to the sale barn after they're fed out for market purposes. The ewes, if I like them, I will take them and put them back into my breeding program to continue the cycle. So a ewe is a female sheep. A ram would be what we call a bull or a male, so it does all the breeding. And a wether was a ram when it was born. We then took its nuts and castrated it basically, and now it's a wether for market purposes only, so it's not breeding.
Yep.
Okay, so now we have a meat goat. So there's dairy goats, there's meat goats, but the meat goats are especially meant for their meat. So they're supposed to get nice and big. So this would be about full size. A lot of these guys, these are also their full size. Looking at her, you wouldn't guess it, but she was actually a bottle baby. So a bottle baby means that her mom actually rejected her or didn't want her, neglected her, so she didn't get all the nutrient and caring that she should have got from her mom. So basically, she was brought to us from someone whose mom didn't want her. We took care of her. We became her mother. We bottle fed her 4 times a day when she first came here. And we slowly decreased down 3, 2, 1 bottle to now we're just getting normal feed, normal water. She's a year old today. Goats can have up to 5 if they're nurtured well or if they're fertile, or they can have only 1. Most commonly though, they have twins. Twins are good because on a doe, which is a female goat, they only have 2 teats. 2 teats means they can easily feed 2 different goats. Now 3, it gets a little harder. We tend to pull the 3rd baby off because they don't have 3 teeth. So most of the times, moms will take care of 2 and they'll neglect the 1, which is when we get bottle babies like her. This doe or female goat has been shown multiple times to travel. We take her to places where they don't judge her. And then she'll come home and right now she's getting bred. Her kids will then go on to either be fed out as market purposes or they'll go back into our breeding program or other people's breeding programs. So the difference between a dairy or a meat goat, the dairy goats obviously are meant for their milk and the meat goats for their meat. So size, mass, muscle, all plays a part in her physical look.
That is Billy. You can see the difference between him, say her. Here's a mama.
it to prep, it helps build muscle by walking in a circle. It can go both directions. It can either go, this is what they call reverse, or we can take the heads out with a simple flip them around, and they can go forward. So we're on both sides of the muscles and not just building the right side and not the left. Now usually their head should go in here in the nose piece, but she's fighting it. She hasn't been on the walker in a long time, so she's just being pulled by it instead of actually being in the nose piece, and then this goes around her neck. So like a sheep, when you're showing, obviously your hand goes under their chin and then behind their ears for that pressure. The chain does the same thing as what your hand would do, goes behind their ear, creates that pressure, so they're used to it and understanding it.
Is she walking herself, or is it actually?
No, this is actually pulling her. Because sometimes when they get used to it, like the sheep, they can push this thing around. They can go, I mean, if they're pulling on it, they'll make it stop. You'll hear it clink. But most of the time, after they get used to it, you put it on, and they'll walk themselves without me even having to turn it on.
So they kind of start like
Yeah, it becomes a routine. They don't pull on it. I don't have to put their noses in it anymore because they just know how to walk like this, which is super nice.
Hi, we are back with a crop sprayer. If you can see, this is extremely tall. I'm almost 6 feet tall. Why do you think a crop sprayer would be that tall? It has to go above the corn, and those wheels are not normal wheels either. If you can see the size on these wheels, my hand almost covers over half the wheel. So if you can see, that's how narrow they are. That is to go between the corn rows. So crop sprayers do a few things. In corn and beans both, we have to spray to keep the weeds down, and also we spray to keep the bugs out. So we try to use as few of chemicals as possible. If you can see that big tank up there, that is not full of chemicals. That is full of 99% water and a little bit of chemical in it. In order to be efficient, we always try to use as little as possible for the chemical itself. And so when we're mixing it, it is such a minute rate that even the operators of these sprayers have to have special licenses to apply it. They have to keep their licenses renewed, just like if you were a school teacher and you have to renew your license, you have to renew your license in order to spray one of these, in order to drive a sprayer. Because they have to do the chemical calibrations to be that minute to be able to spread hundreds of acres and only use this much chemical with that whole tank of water. So that's pretty important, but they are built just to go over the corn and over the beans and between the rows and not affect anything, so that it's as cheap of food as we can possibly make to be the most efficient. So one thing to remember, if you see a sprayer on the road, a lot of times this time of year you'll see these on the road, they can't do road speed. So when you see them, they're going to go about 30 miles an hour tops, if even that. So if you're coming up behind them, you're not going to be able to see around them very easily because they are pretty big. So for safety, just slow down when you see them on the road. Give them space. You never know what cornfield or bean field they might be turning into. So there's a crop sprayer. Lots of things that we need. We use the corn and beans to feed all the animals. So.
Hello, my name is Miranda Whaling. These are my dairy goats, Daisy and Rose. They're dairy goats, so what that means is I will be milking them once they have babies. And I know you saw the meat goats a little earlier. Those are bred for meat. This is Rose, and she does not have ears because that's her breed. There's nothing wrong with her. That's just the way she is. And she's a La Mancha. This is Daisy. She's an Alpine. Alpines come in all sorts of colors and breeds. Colors. I am Miranda Whaling. I've been volunteering for Suhr tours for a couple years now. These are my sheep, and you can see kind of with the comparison The wool sheep, they feel a little bit oilier, and these are still babies, so their wool in the wintertime will get quite a bit longer to keep them warm. I don't know if you can see them back there, but those are sheep I showed earlier this summer, and they are sheared for show. So they're a bit clean, not right now cleaner, but for show we shear them. And these two will be sold, so they are fully wool. And it'll get bigger, and they will get bigger as well. Yeah. Shear sheep still have the woolly feel to them, an oily feel. Just not as thick as regular wool.
I'm Mary Kay Omling, and this is my alpaca, Daisy. I've had her for 5 years now. And she's a very fond lover of children. She's got her good days and her bad days.
Are there certain types of alpacas? Or
There are different ones, yes.
do you know
Yeah.
what she is?
I have no idea. She came from a swap. Kids bought her at a swap.
What does she eat?
She eats a lot of weeds. She loves fresh grass. She likes raspberries, grapes, raisins. Those are her treats. And then she gets ground corn.
What's
Right, Daisy?
what's the purpose of having an alpaca
Company. They are
company?
good company. Yeah.
Do they almost act like goats and they eat everything?
Yep. Yep. They eat, different weeds. I sometimes a little leery of what I pick for her because I don't know if she would get sick. But when I watch her when we go for a walk, she eats whatever she wants.
Do they protect like llamas or?
Sheep and goats and shit.
Do
I think
what?
their main job is to protect sheep and goats.
Yeah.
On farms,
Yeah.
a lot of times they'll go out
And
to
they,
pasture
they,
with them.
they say that they're better than a goat at clearing like brush.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
But oh, she loves kids.
Do you ever have to shear them?
Yep. She gets sheared every other year. Yep. And then they use their wool for mittens and stuff.
How long can her wool get?
She's going to get a little shaggier because she was sheared last year. So she's pretty thick.
I wish you could feel how soft she is because it is that thick already and it is amazingly
Yep.
soft. Watch her.
Jeff and Lori take her to have her sheared.
So soft, it's amazing. It feels different than the llama too. It is softer than the llama.
Yeah.
Feels amazing. And they will kill anything out in the sheep or goat pasture, right?
I don't know so much because
Because I know the llamas do, and I think these are
Yeah.
just as good as llamas.
The
for-
all the sheep farmers say they'll walk out there, they'll see a pack of dead yotes sometimes.
Yeah, they take out coyotes, I believe. I think they stomp them.
then maybe we'll leave you out. I have something coming in getting my ducks.
Wow.
Yeah. So we rigged up a pen at night. Lauren and I go out and pen up my ducks because something's getting them.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to trim her toes,
No, they do look like they need it.
but they do automatically wear down some
Yeah.
too, I bet.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. She has her ornery days.
And you can tell when she's going to spit?
One day I was going to put her back down in her pen because she's been up in that shed. And she clears her throat. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, no, you're not." And she would have spit at me. Whoa.
Okay.
And that doesn't smell very good either.
I'm
I'm
on.
sure. Wow.
Oh. Yeah, you're the center of attention, aren't you, little part?
So here we have baling straw. We use straw for a lot of bedding for most animals. You can see we've got a round baler. And when it gets full, there are monitors inside the cab, tractor cab. When the bale gets the right size, what he's got it set for, it will actually tie itself and the monitors will go off and he will have to let the bale out. There you can see the back side of it. at a pretty good clip. Here he's getting ready to let a bale out. So it's tying right now. As he watches the monitor, he'll be able to tell when it's ready to release the bale, and we'll see a big bale fall out. And these bales are huge. They cannot be moved manually, obviously. It takes a skid loader or tractor to move them. So a little easier to work with, less manual labor than a small square bale that we used to grow up with years ago. So this is baling straw. If you can see, we've got lots of straw bales out in the field here. So beautiful night. These are all straw bales that'll be taken up to the yard and used for animal bedding.
Yes, you can.
Hello, greetings. On behalf of Suhr Dairy, we are going to talk about horses today. I could talk for days about horses. And today we have some helpers here, like Avery that's 4 years old, and that's Sharon. And the reason I let her go with Sharon is because Sharon is real reliable and trustworthy. Not all horses are that way because they're programmed to flee and get away from things if they're not used to it. Watch her.
Avery, you got
Now we have a horse race. No. Okay, Addie has Ozzy, and those two are miniature horses. Don't call them ponies because the people that raise them will be offended. I won't be, but others will be. The miniature horse usually is 34 to 38 inches tall at the withers. This is the wither on the horse, and they look at the last hair to measure it to the ground. They measure it in hands, and a hand is 4 inches. So if I was a horse, I'd be 15-2 hands, and that's pretty common heights. The miniature horses came around in the 1600s, and wealthy people that didn't have a lot to do had them as novelty items, and they bred them to be short yet sturdy. But this was in Europe, and then in England they had coal mines, and they used children to go in the coal mines because they were shorter. But then one day in England they passed a law that they couldn't do that with kids anymore. And so then, at that point, they started using the miniature horses. They can pull 3 times their weight, and if you're small, they also can be ridden. Ozzy is broke to drive. He's the one with Addie there. Then we don't have a Shetland pony, that'd be the next one up, but the bigger pony is a Welsh pony. And that's a good size because they can be used by a bigger person or a little person. So if you get an obnoxious horse, somebody bigger can get on it and have it behave itself. We didn't get to show a lot these years, but this year, but we have shown them. They're a lot of fun, and it's a lot of work because I pulled these in off the pasture today. And it takes quite a bit to get them ready for a show. You bathe them like a person. You treat the manes and tails. You use conditioners. You make sure that you trim their feet regularly, and also their teeth need to be done just like ours. We condition the coats. We trim bridle paths. We get clippers out. Sometimes we totally body clip the miniatures.
What breed is the...
That's the Welsh. The taller one, the Welsh pony. And we even paint their toes. So, in a minute,
we will do a class. I'm going to have Grandpa take the Welsh pony, and Riley's going to take Ozzy, and we're going to show how we set them up to show in showmanship. And then Avery, you let Avery take yours, okay? And you're going to watch.
Abby?
Yeah, you come over here, take hers.
So I take Ozzy.
Yep, you take Ozzy. So when they go in the show ring, and these guys haven't been shown, so they may not trot. So come over here, like I'm the judge. I'm going to be in the middle. You guys go up there. One at a time, you're going to walk to the judge. And the reason you're going to walk to the judge is so that they can... You're fine. The reason you're going to walk to the judge, I was going to do the miniatures, but you can try, is so they can see how they travel. And then the judge moves, and then you're supposed to trot, which is going to be hard to do in this space. That one didn't. Might, yeah. The chicken. And that's a Corgi chasing guineas. Yeah, farm life is never dull. Okay. All right, Riley, get him squared up towards me. And walk straight to the judge. And then I'm going to move aside, and you're going to cluck and get him to trot. Come on. Okay, I'm sure this one won't, but...
This one will make a liar.
I got some cow horses over there, too. All right, come on, Avery, Addie. Walk right out. And then really trot. Go, 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 go. Stay out of the way. There, she trotted. And then they stand them up square, and the judge, if it's a showmanship class, they can't touch them, but in halter they can. And they square them up. So to get them to square up, first I do the back feet. And she'll do this as she gets bigger, and maybe this pony won't. Come on. Come on. Ho. Ho.
If you can.
Okay. And I'm going to put this one here. And there she's good. And then we say the one word once, and they stand still. Okay? I'll help you. It's pretty good. Come on, back up a little. Okay, now come forward. Ozzy.
You kept switching the feet so that one would be higher than the other.
There, hope. Not too bad.
There we go.
Yeah. Hope. There.
And the point of this is to show off the stance, right?
Yes.
About how muscular.
Yeah, their conformation. Yeah. And every breed has a standard, such as quarter horses and Arabians. And then last year at your, when you had your open house, you had draft horses, and those are the big horses. And they can be different breeds. You have your light riding horses, and then on down to these miniatures. And the pony you had last year was just probably just a quarter pony, regular size. So kids often think that they want a pony, but it's a lot of work. Like you guys know, with every good thing, there comes a lot of work. And you know what the biggest work is? Taking care of all the manure. You gotta have a plan. So my suggestion is if you don't want to have a horse and you gotta have a horse, go learn from somebody reliable. And they're like car salesmen. There's good ones and there's bad ones. So you gotta be careful because you're getting an animal that could potentially really hurt you if you don't get a good one. Pembroke Welsh Corgi first. This is the Pembroke Welsh Corgi. It is the smallest breed of herding dog. Like your blue heelers, they herd animals, livestock. And they're very independent, and she is master over these big dogs. And she did well in obedience. These are the Great Pyrenees, and they're called LGD, which stands for Livestock Guard Dog. They are programmed to be independent thinkers. So if they don't listen to you, it's probably because they think you don't know as much as they do. They like to protect their animals, but they also like to protect their family. And I read today, they gave a list of the 5 independent dogs, and number 1 was the Great Pyrenees, and number 5 was the Corgi, the Welsh Corgi. Let's see, what else? Oh, this one, as you can see, is a milk cow. And those are her udders. And the reason she has those is because she has 9 puppies. We should show the puppies. But I'm trying to think what else. These were bred, they're an old breed. They were used to save the breed of St. Bernard. St. Bernards are great, but they drool. These don't drool as much at all. And what else?
Is the point of a corgi to almost go in between the legs? Like, kind
Actually,
of
they
be
nip
able
the heels, just like your blue heeler. But when that cow kicks, or horse, because we used to use one to load horses in the trailer, it'd go right over their head. You know, and he'd get them loaded in the trailer for us.
Do they get too aggressive like healers do?
No, no.
Because
I mean,
healers sometimes
they get in
too
there, they go,
aggressive.
"Arr," you know, and they bark, bark, bark. But I think they can't get kicked because they're so
And they're quick.
low. Yeah, they are quick.
A lot quicker than a healer, I bet.
Well,
Well, I don't know. They're,
you know, you think she can't run until you have her. I wish the guineas would come in here.
I read
She herds the guineas,
I got a shot of it.
and she can run, and she can catch rabbits. And those can't. These are the Great Pyrenees puppies. There's a misconception that they think they have to be all white, but not all of them are.
Rocky.
Some of them have what's called
Rocky.
coon markings, and that isn't real common, but it's nice to have. The other interesting thing is if you can come in back here, they have an extra toe in the back.
there you go.
Yeah, for like ice. And
Yep, to walk on the snow, exactly. That is correct. So let us know if you have questions. These are just shy of 8 weeks old and ready to start helping farmers on big, wide open farms take care of their animals. These are American quarter horses. They're a good riding horse. They were bred and they were cows. But they also have a lot, they're a versatile horse. They do a lot of different things. They can jump and do English riding. There's 2 kinds of riding. We call these Western horses. The English is the little saddle where they ride a lot different than the good old traditional Western saddle. This is an American quarter horse. It's something we breed here. Both of these mares are over 20 years old. They're smooth, they're smart. She's a little more independent than the other one. They're 15 2 hands. Remember, a hand is 4 inches. And trying to think what else.
Okay, what type of color?
This one's a Palomino. Like Roy, does anybody know who Roy Rogers was? He rode a Palomino, and she was originally came from Ohio when she was a reining horse. Whip.
Brown.
Gold. It's supposed to be gold. With a white mane and tail, they need their feet done. This is a chestnut, and she is just a sweetheart. They're living out their days here because they're getting older now, but they live to be about 30, and these are about 24. So, and they've raised kids and been my helpers, and I just take care of them now.
How many colts do you think they've had combined?
Oh, this one's, she's probably had 4 or 5 colts, and that one's probably had 8. And this one had 1 colt that was a high seller as a baby in Cannon Falls, and it brought $1,200.
What is a high sell?
In an auction. The horse that brought for its age group. Because horses can bring so much money depending on what they're about and how well broke they are. And this one's extra smooth. Back. And I used to show her halter, and I'll show you she's real light. She trots easy. She knows whoa. She backs real fine.
Okay.
Cool.
Hi, we're the Manure family, also known as V56 Semitals and Shorthorns here south of Lawler. So we run a cow-calf operation, and so basically what happens is we calve out the cows, and we recently started feeding them out. So when the cattle calve here in January, they go to pasture over about 30 minutes from us in the summer, and the calves stay on the cows all summer long. That's one thing that's different about dairy calves. So our calves, when they're born, they stay on their cow or their mom until they are weaned, usually about 6 to 9 months later, depending on when they're born. So we wean in November after they've been with their moms all summer, and they're October, November. They're usually about 550, 600 pounds, and then we put them into our makeshift feedlot, and they are grain fed and finished out till about 1300, 1350, and we sell farm to table beef by the quarters, halves, wholes, to local families and friends. So that's kind of our operation here. Our daughter did have a bottle calf this year. Beef cattle usually do not have bottle calves. Well, in a perfect world, you do not have bottle calf beef calves, because that means either the mom died, or the mom doesn't produce enough milk, or we had a set of twins, something that causes it not to more work, basically, yes. So what we like is the calf to be fed off by the mom until it's ready to start being grain fed. So this year we did have a mom that happened to not make it, and so our little daughter had a little bottle calf this year named Strawberry, and we can see her in the pen over there. So how many times did you feed Strawberry a day? You feed her 20 times a day? No, you probably, yeah, you fed her treats all the time. We fed her in the morning, and we fed her at night, and we fed her a bottle of milk, didn't we? And then after the bottle, what did we do? We started putting it into what?
In a bucket.
In a bucket. So we had them bucket fed, so that's where the bottle bucket part comes to it. And then about 4 months, when it was 4 months old, we put them on grain. And now she's our little pasture pet that Lyndon was planning on showing this year until COVID hit. So next year she gets to show little bottle buckets for Forage, so she's pretty excited about that. But normally we have maybe 2 or 3 bottle buckets a year between sets of twins. Something always happens with the mom. It seems like she's not producing milk or something. So normally we sell the bottle buckets to usually Forage kits. This year we decided to keep it, but so that's kind of our spiel on beef cattle.
What's your favorite part of doing this operation?
The new babies every year.
Yeah, we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting the live calves. We take it pretty personal when something goes wrong. We've cried lots of tears over that. My favorite part, I think, is taking them to grass, taking them to pasture come May. That makes it a really satisfying, you know, you got 80-some calves going to pasture with their moms, and they're running and kicking, and you can barely see them. It's awesome. So that would be my favorite. What's your favorite part about having cattle?
When the babies come out.
When the babies come out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she could tell you how to pull a calf. So now we can go over, and we got some fainting goats and some other little animals we can show you on Lyndon's side of V56. So I grew up with fainting goats, sheep, and stuff like that. One day, Doc Nordis came out and said that you guys got ringworm. You guys need to get some goats. So, since I grew up with fainting goats, I decided to buy some fainting goats. And Will's like, "Oh my goodness, the cows are gonna fall right over them. They're gonna faint, and the cows are gonna step on them. They're gonna die." Well, obviously they haven't. We have some, so we've had them 8 years, and one of them,
The one back there is one of the originals. I bought them on a rotary auction actually, and that kind of started our herd. Yeah. So now we have, these are all females. We have one little baby, and this year we had a mom not make it, so Lyndon had 2 bottle goats, didn't you? What were their names?
Sissy and Liam.
So this is her bottle goat, Sissy. We were so excited because we were going to have friendly goats for tours. So now we have a friendly bottle goat that is named Sissy. Liam went to heaven, right? So. What else to say? So the fainting goats, what happens is when they get scared, they tense up and they fall over. They don't faint on command. And the more scared they are, the more they don't faint, it seems like. So, but they're kind of fun. Normally, like if you drive by and you honk the horn or pull in the driveway and honk the horn, they'll start running and they'll faint. So if we see any of you driving by honking the horn, we'll understand what's going on now. So these are our fainting goats. Neighbor tried to get them to faint, so. You want to say anything about your goats? Huh? What do you like about your goats? What's your favorite part about the goats?
I like playing with the goats.
You like playing with them? So in the summer, they stay in this pasture. In the winter, when the cattle are home, they run with the cattle. They eat what they eat. They rub up on them. They basically, I don't know what it is. We've heard a couple different things about the ringworm. We've heard that it's the oil in their skin that kills the virus. We've also heard it's because they like to nibble on everything that they eat the virus. I'm not 100% sure, but it does work. So anyone that has cattle and ringworm, I would suggest goats. Fainting goats are cheap, so that's where we ended up with these. And they're fun in the summer. Will got pretty attached pretty fast, so. Right?
Pick this side. Or don't.
Which one? This one? He hasn't done it yet.
Daddy,
anything
else with the pocket.
Yep. I don't know anything else about goats.
What's the hardest thing with goats?
Keeping them in a pen. They always say that if wire can go through a pen, so can a goat. These ones have been around the block quite a while, so an electric fence, actually, if the electric fence is plugged in, keeps them in, but otherwise, they kind of know their duty, so we got pretty lucky. We got a good group here, but keeping them in would probably be, and they become pests really quick. The tamer they are, the more pesty they are. Right, Lyndon?
Ow!
Yep.
Right? Sissy, when she was bottle fed, she would come up right to the front door and wait to get in. So they can be pretty pesty. But you want to take a picture with Sissy? Show them Sissy. Can you show them Sissy?
Put some food in your hand. The original reason they made the fainting goat is out west, the ranchers were having problems with coyotes and wolves, so fainting goats are cheaper than their sheep and baby calves or regular livestock that they're raising. So the idea was they turned the fainting goats out when the wolf came or the coyote came, the goat would faint, so that's what the coyote and wolf would get. The regular livestock that they were raising would get away and survive.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Utley and my husband Tony Utley. We own Vision Crop Consulting.
And I guess our job is to try to make sure the producers can produce their crop throughout the year, try to make money for their farms and stay out here and stay viable. One thing what we do is we make sure we provide the fertility programs for both the corn and the soybeans. And then we also take care of the crop, like right now, keep the pests off, and that's something that we're doing right now is spraying the corn and the soybeans for insects and the fungus that attacks them, that attacks the yield, and we want to make sure that we maintain and keep everything looking good so the producers can make money and stay around. So
we're standing in our soybean field.
Okay, what is the number one issue with having soybeans? Like, what kills it off the fastest?
Probably the number one issue in soybeans right now that a lot of farmers are fighting is actually weed resistance. We're fighting in both corn and soybeans. To herbicides and known methods that we're using different methods like no-till and cover crops to try to combat that. One of the things that, you know, soybeans this time of year get pretty big. Right now we're actually getting the pods on the soybeans. We're coming to that stage where we're filling them. So we need a little rain to fill them out. These beans are, the end source is usually for feed, some for soybean oil and for a lot of the feed ingredients you have. Also a lot of foods if you look at it on a lot of the boxes that we have. So this is what a soybean plant would look like at this stage in the game. We got about another month and then we'll be done, and then we'll be able to harvest. So you can see some holes in here. This is kind of from these Japanese beetles, or you actually could probably see some of those Japanese beetles right over here.
They're like the black metallic.
Kind of feed on them right here, just like they do.
I didn't get them.
A lot of the, right here is one.
Yeah,
this would be like what we'd have. Same things that feed on your
sweet corn.
Things in your yard, like your linden trees, things like that.
Here we are in the cornfield.
I guess what this time of year, we're in the stage where we're out spraying this corn, trying to keep the insects and the disease off these corn plants so that we have a healthy stalk and a healthy leaf. So it makes for better feed quality if you're a silage person, chopping it for dairy cows, beef cows. Also, it keeps this corn standing good and yielding good for the guys that produce green corn. Right now, we're just getting those ears on, having perfect weather for it. This would be a newly formed ear. Just got done. You can see here, just got done pollinating, being this tassel. Drop pollen down here on these, this is what we call silks here, and that's what all this leftover stuff is here. That's the pollen from the top of that tassel. And here everything opened up and shook the pollen out, and got this ear pollinated. And now we can see we've got an awfully nice ear coming, and we can actually see this is what we call roasting corn, just starting to turn yellow.
Can you eat field corn?
Can you eat field corn? I've heard that before. Yes, you actually can.
I
They used to eat it. It's not quite as good as sweet corn, so most people prefer field corn.
I've had it before.
They'd rather go to sweet corn, yeah. Yep. So, and right now we've been, like I said, busy trying to keep everything protected on it. That's why you see a chopper out spraying. This is why we're spraying it. Trying to keep it away from those nasty little diseases that eat the leaves up, and this is called gray leaf spot. This will spread rather quickly when you get hot weather. It goes right through in those nice and moist mornings. So that's why we're doing it.
Besides that, what is the worst thing that'll knock out a whole cornfield?
Probably the number one thing that can knock out a cornfield faster than anything is, I would say for a pest, would be rootworm. As anybody who knows, and anybody's had experience with it, it's a tough one. So it can take half the yield if you let it. So that's always been a bad one. Weeds are another one, and poor fertility management I call nitrogen. And you know, the number one thing that knocks out most cornfields all across the United States every year, that's lack of water. So
Also,
that's
Mother
what we need
Nature.
to have. We need to have Mother Nature be nice to us. And so far, as you see this corn nice and green, had a good year. So.
Sometimes you also have, when storms come in, you have we call hail. That'll take care of a lot of crops too if it's in the way.
Yep.
What about planting seasons we're in Iowa, so what are your seasons, for planting and harvesting and different harvesting times?
So our season would be in Iowa is a little different than some other parts of the country. Our typical planting window for us in Iowa is mid-April, depending on what part of Iowa you're in. And then we usually finish about mid-May for our planting season, both corn and soybeans. We plant corn and soybeans at the same time. We find it's the best yield to do them at the same time. and then we'll typically harvest starts on soybeans usually around the 15th of September. Silage harvest for our silage producers actually usually starts right around Labor Day, just after. So that's when we'll be harvesting silage corn, and then our field corn gets harvested mainly in October. That's when we harvest most of our corn.
All right.
So we are at Homeland Energy Solutions of Lawler, Iowa. This is our local ethanol plant. So ethanol you may have seen is used in fuel, and you may have used it in your own vehicles even. The main component of ethanol is corn. But what you may not know is that when the corn is used for ethanol, that's only part of the usage of that corn. A byproduct of ethanol, one of the byproducts of ethanol, is gluten meal, and you can do wet or dry gluten meal, and that is used to feed out beef cattle. So you're only getting a small portion of that kernel of corn to be used for ethanol when they truck in the corn here. And there are several byproducts, one of them being gluten, that is used from there. So if you can see, Homeland Energy Solutions provides a lot of fuel for vehicles, and this is one plant.
And being a byproduct of that, because they're producing so much, you see all of those, actually called common grackles. They're black, they're iridescent with blue heads. Yeah, they migrate up from down south, so this is one of the warmest spots to where they can go before they have to migrate back. Well, there's so many of them here right now.
So right there is the main office for Homeland Energy. And if you want to look back here, this is where the semis all line up. And they come in and get weighed before they take the gluten, bringing corn in and also taking gluten back out. So all of that back there, all of that looks like highway is actually for semis only to come into the ethanol plant. And then if you look down here, this is where they're actually making it into the fuel.
I'm Mary Wilson, a beekeeper right here in Fredericksburg. Do you want to see some bees? Let's go on over. I've got 2 hives over here. Where are you? One is taller than the other, and that's only because of the base they're on. But first thing we're going to do is look at the front of the hive. So let's go around to the front. You can see it's a little cooler day here, so the bees aren't as active. But on the hive over here with the pretty colorful body, you can see the bees going in and out. Those are worker bees. They're going out and they're gathering nectar. Let's go ahead back. We're going to open up a hive. We'll do the shorter hive because I'm vertically challenged myself. The rock is a very important piece of equipment. It adds weight so the hive doesn't fall over. Any rock will do. Okay, this is the top cover. We bring it off, and this is all it is. I'm going to put it down. Whoops. My hive tool. I need my hive tool. Thank you. Okay, this is a hive tool or a pry bar if you're a farmer. But bees make a product called propolis, which is a really sticky glue. And they glue everything together. And so this is all glued together, but the hive tool just snaps it apart. And this is the inner cover. We're going to lift this up and we'll see some bees. They're just on the inner cover, doing what bees like to do. This first small box is called a honey super. That's where we have them make honey. The second box down here and the third box, those are called brood boxes. That's where they make, the queen lives down in those boxes, and that's where we get that's where we get our hive and our bees. So we should have some honey in here. You lift it out. Boy, you can hear them. There's no honey in here, but they've built this out. You can see the way they've made this all with wax, and that's where they will put honey or pollen. I'm just going to put it down here. Going to go into the center here, and we will see where they put some honey. And this is what we extract. Oop, this one doesn't have any honey in it. They have not been making honey, but they have it all built out. Beautiful. Beautifully built out. And see if this has any honey in it. This one has the beginning of honey in it. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's this shiny liquidy stuff. And once they fill those cells up, then they'll cap it off with wax, and that's where we get our honey. Okay, so I'm going to take this box off after I put it back together. These are called frames, and my husband builds them. We buy the materials, and then he puts them together. The brood boxes we also make. Okay, so we're going to go up. I'm just going to lift this one off. Now this is a queen excluder. We use it to keep the queen from going into the brood, the honey super, because we don't want her to lay eggs or have baby bees in our honey. It is really sticky. There we go. The bees are pretty happy today. They're very gentle. Everything is super sticky. And wow. It doesn't want to come apart. Okay. I'm going to try to pull this one out. You can see. Well, it doesn't want to come out.
What is the main predator of a beehive?
Skunks, raccoons. Here, you can look in here, and you can see all the new white wax, and the golden stuff in that is honey, and they will use that for their winter store. Main predator are raccoons and skunks, even rabbits like to chew on them. Chew on the outside.
Have you ever had a bear in Iowa come after one?
We know somebody who has about 2,000 hives, and he had a bear come into one of his apiaries and destroy about 200 beehives all in one night. I'm going to put this one back together. I'm going to let them do their stuff.
What's your favorite part about beekeeping?
Honey. I like honey. And I like to cook with honey. And I like to give honey away, and I like to sell honey.
How expensive would you say about a quart jar of honey is?
A quart jar of honey is about $25. No. A quart jar of honey is about $16. $16 for a quart. Okay. Do you want to open that one up or not?
Sure, if you want to.
We can try it, see if we can get some more activity. This one's a little taller. beekeeping, you can of course sell your honey, you can eat your honey, you can give away your honey, and that's the benefit of it. But bees do a lot for our environment. They pollinate. They pollinate your garden, your squash, apples, blueberries.
How far out do you think a range of one hive is?
They go about 5 miles. Bees will travel up to 5 miles to get what they need. And all they need is water and pollen. Here's some bees. Set this down. They build wax everywhere.
How fragile is wax?
It's warm and it bends really easily. It's very pliable. That's what people make lotion and lipsticks and a lot of stuff with. We don't, but a lot of people do. Oh man, this baby is stuck together. Okay. And it is heavy. So there's honey in there. I can't lift it off. It's too heavy for me to lift off, which is a very good sign for a beekeeper. That means there's a lot of honey in that and I can't lift it off. So I'm not going to lift it off. But bees are good for our environment. What we have out here is a CRP, so bees need flowers to make their honey, their nectar that they live on. So we offer this to them. They will fly up to 5 miles, but if you have it closer, they don't have to go as far, and they can spend more energy making the honey. Okay?
Yeah.
So bees are fun. It's kind of hot on a day like this in our little bee outfit here, but we do wear protective gear. Some people wear gloves. Some people have full body suits. Typically on a day like this, we would wear what we have on, or sometimes if the bees are really gentle, we just wear just regular clothing. We don't really have to wear all of the protective gear. But you always have to have a hive tool. If you don't have a hive tool, you're out of luck, because that's what really pries everything apart. Honey is the best thing you can get from bees though. So that's why we need bees, because they make honey. They also pollinate. They pollinate many of the foods that we eat.
How bad is the bee population? Is it?
Bee population has gone down because of chemicals, because the landscape doesn't give them enough food to eat. So bee population has gone down quite a bit. And we do need bees. So that's why we do it.
All right.
All right.
Right here, this is the milk hauler's semi. He's actually pumping milk out right now. He has a hose that's connected to the bulk tank. Puts it right inside of there.
Deliver it to the plants where they make cheese and bottle it for milk, drink it. I'm kind of a fill-in driver. I do many different routes, and just pick up the milk here and measure the milk here to see how much they had today. And I'll agitate the milk for 10 minutes before I take a sample and start pumping the milk. It takes about 20 minutes to pump the milk out of this farm.
What do you need to know to do this job?
Pardon?
What do you need to know to do this job, like math, anything like that?
Yeah, you need to know how to drive semi, your brakes and your air, and for picking up milk off the farm, you take a test, written test with the state, and for measuring, smell of the milk. They want you to smell it. Every 2 years you have to get inspected by a state inspector to keep your license to haul milk.
What's your favorite part of the job?
I enjoy going to the farms and just talking to different farmers for me, and where you go to deliver the plant, the people are nice there, but I do many different routes, so I get to see a lot of different farmers, and winter time can be challenging with the snow and the ice, but summertime I'm driving around with the air conditioner on and getting paid for it.
How difficult is it to drive when there's ice and everything?
Yeah, the ice is challenging, and fog. Fog is the worst. I hate fog, when you can't see where you're at, the ice, I'd rather drive in a foot of snow than a little bit of ice on the road, and especially with the milk sloshing in your tanker or your semi. It's a little challenging, when you want to stop and the milk is sloshing you.
What happens to the milk if it doesn't pass your test?
Then we have to get a hold of the DFA lady to see what the procedure would be, if it tested positive for antibiotics, so you'd have to dump it down the drain, or if it was, say the milk was warm a little bit, I can, it's 38 degrees here, legally I can pick it up at 45 degrees, I believe.
All right.
Okay, I'm Mike Stepper. I'm with Farmers Win Co-op. I do dairy nutrition for Farmers Win. I work for Land Lakes and Purina. My job on the farm at Suhr Dairy here is to make a healthy ration, which is a recipe, if you want to call it, for the dairy cows. We need to have the correct amount of corn, cornstarch, haylage, vitamins, and minerals to make a healthy cow to maximize production and keep their health the way it should be. If we mess up on one of them ingredients, it's kind of like making a batch of cookies and put too much flour in or too much salt. Nobody will eat the batch of cookies. So everybody wants to eat their cookies and wants them to taste good. We want the cows to have a balanced diet. That in turn makes healthy cows, healthy feet. They chew their cud more and they make more butter fat when they do that.
What are they doing by chewing their cud?
What they're doing by chewing their cud, what they do is a cow eats their food, which would be cornstarch, haylage, hay, corn, and they put it in their belly. And then every so often they regurgitate this stuff up and they put some in their mouth and then chew it and they swallow it back down, and that makes butter fat, and that makes a healthy bug growth in their stomach. To make it simple, we want that cow to do that. If a cow don't chew her cud, we know that she has a bellyache. So for one good first sign that the cow is healthy or not is she chews her cud so much in a day.
Do each pen of adult cows, do they need a different ration, or is everybody the same?
We have 3 groups here that are the same. And then one group is called the fresh group, which we try to feed a little more dense ration because they had a baby calf in their belly. And then they calve, well then they start making milk. So we put them special in a group, kind of by themselves, and give them lots of room and give them a little more dense ration because they can't eat as much as these cows that have been in for, let's say, 50 days after calving, or 100 days, or 150, 200 days. The first ones don't eat much, but we want them to get them eating as much as we can fast.
Great. What do you need to know to do your job?
What do you need to know?
Like simple mathematics, stuff like that.
Simple mathematics. All these rations are percentages, okay? Percentage of protein, percentage of calcium, percentage of phosphorus. If hay is 10% moisture, I can figure out how many pounds of hay to convert that to. Everything's a percent of another number. So it's, if you're really good at math or you want to be good at math, it's a pretty good career because you're using math all the time.
Okay, what we're in right now is actually our hay shed. This is where we store all of the hay for the heifers and the cows. It gets mixed into their diet or their ration. A lot of this, most of this stuff is actually very different from the other. It's all different readings, so you have to figure it all up, but you can see this. Look how green that is on the inside. It's really nice hay. And then for the heifers, we actually usually have bales. This is one. No, this isn't a heifer bale. The heifer bales will actually have hay, straw, and then one other thing. They're not there right now, but yeah, this is our hay shed. This is one of our sheds where we store a lot of feed. It's actually one of the main places we store feed besides our bunker. It is called a commodity shed. So it's got a roof on top. It doesn't go all the way. It's cut off right there. And it's got a bunch of different slots. That's different. Free choice, hay, ground corn, cotton, but it's almost empty. And then this is our lime powder for their bedding. What we're about to get to is actually the TMR wagon. Hey, who's that over there? And what you saw the cow standing by is something called a TMR wagon. It has a tractor hitched up to it, and what you do is you take the skid loader, or what you're using to load it, you mix the ration up inside of it. So once you dump it all in with the skid loader bucket, there's actually blades inside. Right there. You can see that mixes everything, all the rations up. And there's a conveyor belt that you can turn on. It will send all the food out to the cows. Hey, there's a cow right there. It's got a POW shaft. Yeah. That's the TMR wagon.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Succo, and this is the Succo Family Hop Farm. What I'm going to tell you about is about our hops. Hops is a perennial. That means they come back every year, and every year we have to attach strings to our poles and rope cable up there. So in the spring, that is what we're doing. We're attaching the strings, and then we put them in the ground, and there's 2 strings to each plant, and then we take the vines and we start having them crawl up the strings. Our strings hops can grow anywhere from 18 to 20 feet. So they grow to the top, and then sometimes they go across, or sometimes they start coming back down. So these are the different stages of the hops. You have the first part, which is the flower, and then they grow to this, the second stage. And then this last stage is the cone. So in a couple weeks, these will be ready to harvest. Right now, we are maintaining them. They require a lot of water, so we are watering them every other day.
and they take about 2 inches a week is what they need to get really healthy cones on them. So we have to water a lot. So hops are used for beer, making beer, and they're also used in certain medications, because hops is helps you sleep. So they're used in some sleeping pills. And they are actually used in your, like, if you've ever heard of Tom's Natural Deodorant, it's one of their main ingredients, because it helps fight body odor, which is really kind of interesting. I never knew that before. What else can I tell you? There's 80 different varieties of hops. We grow just one kind here on our farm. So the kind that you plant deals with your levels of your soil, different types of soil, so we always do soil samples. In Iowa, the hops that grow the best are hops that start with C's, and our kind is called Columbus hops. So when we harvest them, we take a hedge trimmer, is really what it is, and we cut the bottoms, and then we go along and we cut the tops, and we load them all up into a trailer, and then we take them down to a processing plant, and there they get taken off the vines. It eats up the vines and takes off all the cones, and that's when they become pelletized, and they look like little rabbit food is what it looks like, and then they get put in these 1-pound packages, and that's how they get sold. So that is our hops farm.
What's your favorite part about having hops?
My favorite part is, well, it's a lot of work, but it's very family, like the whole family gets involved. And right now my favorite part is watering, because sometimes that's the only time my husband and I have together. So he gets on the tractor, I get on the hay, and it's just, we water them at night, and it's just like a kind of date night for us. So that's my favorite part right now.
What's the hardest?
How many plants and how many years have you been doing it?
This will be our 3rd year harvesting them. The first year we didn't harvest. Did we harvest the second year too? Yeah, we did. We harvested the second year. But I'm not sure on the amount.
Are they a 2-year plant, or are they perennial? Or
They're perennial. They'll come back every year. So you see, like, we do have some that have died off, but there's other shoots that we will eventually take and replant there. But
what's the hardest part about raising hops?
the time work. Yes, it's a lot of. When we're out here in the spring training them to go up, it's my back is so sore by the time we're done.
Do you tie them or no?
Nope, they just go around. We just go clockwise around. So yeah, it's just a lot of work, a lot of hands-on, and there's like not a machine right now that goes through and just does it all for us. It's all hands-on. So my father-in-law he needed, you know, something to do. He had been looking at this for a while, and then did a lot of studying on it, and then he decided that let's get this started. And at first we just helped out. We were not part owners, but now we bought in this year and we're part owners of this. So it's definitely between my in-laws and us and my sister-in-law, we are all out here working whenever things need to be done. And then they start moving across sometimes, but I mean, some of them, like these, are just starting. They're not gonna hit the top yet, so. Our biggest problem right now is Asian beetles.
Oh.
They are eating them, so we have to spray for them. Usually, if we come out here and we can see them, they'll be flying on the top, and we start spraying right away. So.
They eat the leaves?
Grandpa, yes.
Permectin, or what do you use?
7.
Really?
Yep.
A lot of this stuff doesn't kill them, and the crops, they come right back.
Right?
They're nasty bugs.
And that's why we have to use it every time we see them.
do they eat the actual hops, or do they just eat the leaves?
They eat the leaves, is what they're destroying the leaves, and right now that's what we want to keep on there because that's what's getting the rainwater and helping them to produce the big cones is what we want. So.
Yep.
My name is Shirley. This is my husband Laverne, and we have our Llama Oscar here. Oscar is 16 years old. Normally he's very sociable, but today he's just not quite feeling it. He's not quite sure how come there's so many people around. Oscar had a haircut about a month and a half ago. Normally he has 6 to 8 inch hair on him. And we have somebody come down that shears him, trims his toenails, and gives him his shots. So,
What's the purpose of an alpaca?
of a llama?
Llama.
Well, yeah, I was going to say they're guard animals, and they also can be pack animals. They can carry up to 25% of their weight, up to 5 miles. And they're guard animals for smaller animals such as sheep and goats. Sometimes if there's a group of people around and he's out like this, sometimes he'll try to guard me from them. So, he's just not quite sure what to think today. Usually he's got his nose in the camera because he likes to have his picture taken. He's pretty used to that. They eat hay and grass. They can eat up to 10 to 12 pounds of hay a day per llama, depending on the season.
What's your favorite part about having a llama?
Well, usually you give Eskimo kisses, and he's fun to watch when he decides to run, especially when they're more angry. When they run, they kick up their heels, their neck goes one way and their feet go another. They don't have, like cows or horses do, they have pads on the bottom of their feet. And then they each have 2 toes. On each foot has 2 toes and toenails. And those help them to grip the terrain better when they're hiking and things like that, and when they're out in rockier territory. So it just gives him better footing.
What's the hardest part about having a llama?
There's really not a whole lot. Are you looking? There's not a whole lot hard. They're pretty easy to take care of. He likes to be out usually on the playground, and we wander around and he checks out some of the tunnels. Sometimes he's got something different to do. Let's see. With having the pads on the bottom of their feet, they don't wear the grass out like a horse and a donkey and a cow do, making a path and things. So, are you going to be sociable yet?
Yeah.
He says I'm not. When they sleep, they like to tuck their legs underneath them. And then sometimes they'll sleep with their heads up, with their legs tucked underneath. And then other times they'll stretch out on their side, just stretch way out to get a grip. He's shorn once a year. His wool is really thick and it's really soft, and it does not have lanolin in it like sheep do. And sometimes they spit, and their spit is a defense mechanism, or else it's a discipline for smaller animals. Quite a bit. Well, we've never sold it. We've had it cleaned and made into yarn for things to do, but
Hi, I am James Franzen with Riverside Feeds. the owner of a specialty feed mill that we recycle byproducts for cattle ingredients and livestock ingredients.
I'm Amanda, his wife, and I do the inventory and marketing here.
So we're going to show you today how a pellet mill works and how we turn hard to handle byproduct ingredients into usable pellets for cattle feed ingredients. This mill was built in 2016 and 2017, the pellet mill, and we have been here since 2013 here in Riceville, Iowa. What you see right now is a truck scale inside the plant with load-out overhead bins and a receiving pit in the middle. So we do all of our receiving and outbound loading of bulk commodities right through this bay right here. We can head up and see the pellet mill. This big machine is the pellet mill. This is what squeezes mashed feed products into pellets, so it's easy to handle and makes it more digestible for animals to consume. This is what the inside of the pellet mill looks like. And this big steel rim right here is called a die with all these holes. And what goes on is mashed feed product like this, that's loose and fluffy, gets blended with steam in the steam chamber up here. The steam comes off of a boiler and comes in at about 400 degrees of temperature. It blends in with this product, makes about 200 degrees with the product, makes a tacky glue, but like this. And then that mash, that hot wet mash comes into this die in the center, gets squeezed with these rolls. That's kind of hard to see in here, but gets squeezed around those rolls as this die is turning around at high speed, and squeezes all that feed product into all these little holes. And that feed product goes through the die, comes out in pellet forms, but like this, just a nice little round pellet. In a few minutes we'll start this up and see the product coming through with oat screenings that we pellet every day of the week.
What's the advantage to making it pellets?
Basically, the most advantage of having pellets is so it's easy to handle, easy to flow through bins, and it increases the digestibility of the fibers and the proteins of the feed product.
Less waste by the animals.
A lot less waste, a lot less dust, and more efficient.
What's your favorite part of your job?
Not sure. I guess the favorite part of my job would be to meet people all over the country. We sell feed products to all 48 states, and we travel in the wintertime to different farming conferences and meet customers and brokers, and I enjoy working with those people and working with the dedicated staff that I have. Here at Riverside Feeds, we are up to 12 full-time employees right now, and we run 5 days a week, 24 hours a day.
But how much feed do you take in a year?
We process about 35,000 tons of feed in a year's time.
Okay. Well, go to the next spot?
Yes. Come in here.
Okay.
This is called the control room for the pellet mill, and one part of having a feed mill operation and a feed plant is that it takes a lot of electrical and a lot of very complicated electrical devices. We have a lot of motors and a lot of equipment throughout the high-rise building, and so each one of these buttons turns on and off a different piece of equipment. So our pellet mill operators have to be trained and highly skilled to know what they're doing and understand a very complex electrical system.
Okay, so what is she doing right now?
So we are unloading a load of organic flax screening from South Dakota. And this is going to get transferred over to the feed mill to get ground into a mixed screening pellet for an extender energy pellet for dairy operations all across the United States.
What is the truck going to get filled up with?
This truck won't be getting filled. This is just an inbound only. So this truck is just getting empty and then going to be taken off after this.
And how long does it take to unload a truck?
It takes about 20 minutes to unload a truck. And there is probably about 50,000 pounds worth of product on this load.
Definitely a big dusty.
It's what's coming down from the top.
Alright. Operation of herbicide feed. This is where we grind and mix ingredients to make complete mash products, and then they go to the pellet mill after the feed mill. So this is where everything kind of starts. We have outside bins of storage of ingredients. We just ran a little bit of corn into the weigh hopper for a small batch that we're going to grind right now. That big orange tank is to weigh out our macro ingredients, which is our larger ingredients of feed rations. And then now that's going to start up in a feed mill, which is a hammer mill upstairs, which we'll take a look at when it's running, and we're going to grind that corn. So we're starting up the hammer mill right now, which is the big green box up there. And that's what grinds granular materials into powdery, more mass material. And then that falls down into that big blue tank. That blue tank is a mixer. That blends materials together to make a complete ration. We're adding micro ingredients right here in this tank. And any product that does not need to be ground can go in here to what's called a concentrate hopper, and that concentrate auger runs up into the mixer. That need to go into this certain particular hog ration. And we dumped into a pit that's going to go up to the hammer mill to get ground. Okay, this is the mash hog grower finisher feed that we just produced through the hammer mill and mixer. this. Now you see how nice hard they are? And then the steam also makes a nice shiny coat on the outside. So now that the pellet mill is running, this control board has all these lights turned on, and these are all individual pieces of equipment and motors turned on and running throughout the plant right now.
That's how hot they're getting, right?
That's the temperature downstairs, yep, of the pellet temperature. Yep. This is the mash oat screenings that we are pelleting as a byproduct for making oat pellets for all species of livestock. We sell a lot of this into beef, dairy, and horses.
It's all going down to that
Yep.
little hopper.
So it's going down in that floor pit and it's going up 100 feet in the air and then falling over towards the pellet mill and getting ran through the pellet mill right now. So when the pellets come off the pellet mill, they are hot. They're about 180 degrees because we have one in that hot steam. We can't take that back to the overhead bin because they're going to steep and cake up. So we got to get those pellets back to room temperature. So those pellets fall down into this big box, which is called a counterflow twirler, and basically this is like a big dryer. These pellets come in, make a pile, and there's air movement getting pulled out of this box. So we have a big fan that pulls the hot air off these pellets and recycles that hot air out of the building. And then these pellets drop down in temperature by the time it flows down in this box. And then they go through a walking floor to discharge, just like right now. And then those pellets come down onto a shaker table to segregate out the fines off the pellets. And so this is the finished product and it's in room temperature, which also helps hardens the pellets going from hot to cold. The fines go through that screen and get returned back to the pellet mill. These finished pellets go up 100 feet in the air and drops back down into the outbound bin or wherever we want to send the finished product to. So this is from the start to the finish. This is the loose, fluffy, the mashed oat screenings, ground up oat screenings, which is a byproduct from processing oats for food grade. And this is after we are done pelleting them, and this is ready to go for livestock feed. So start to the finish process of the pellet mill. So the finished pellets are going into this bagging bin and going through the bagging scale to fill 50-pound paper sacks. And these pellets get sold to customers down by New Hampton at 5-Star Co-op, mainly for horse pellets. Each bag weighs about 50 pounds and it takes 40 bags to make a 2,000-pound pallet up. Thank you for visiting Riverside Feeds today. Let's eat.
I'm Amanda Franzen, and behind us is my peacock Clyde and Angel and one of their babies. The peacocks eat a bunch of bugs around here, and they protect from outside problems, predators, and that's why I keep them around here.
Which one is the baby?
The baby's the gray one.
Oh, okay.
She's probably 2 years old already.
Okay, what color type is the white one? Or okay.
She's a mixed.
It's a mixed. That is
The Indian blue.
Do they only open up when their mate is in heat?
No. They open up randomly.
Clyde.
Board off.
Clyde. Header Clyde.
And they lose their So the peacocks, or not having the peacocks lose their tails every year, and they grow back the next year even bigger.
I'm Alice Harkrader,
I'm Dennis Harkrader.
and we live probably about a half a mile from Suhr Dairy.
Every year we take this over to Suhr Dairy. It's a stalk of corn that one Sunday I felt like I didn't have anything to do, which is very seldom. But anyhow, I wanted to see what the rut was like. I've been working with it to see what I could do to adjust the hormones of a plant. And anyhow, this was raised on sandy soil, so I dug and dug and dug, and I know the root went down more than what it is, but I quit at 6 feet because the ground was still caving in on me, so I lost some of it. But I do have another stalk that has 7 ears on that we've worked with. But anyhow, this is one of my Sunday afternoon projects. So. Dennis Harkrader, Alice Harkrader. Every year at Suhr Dairy Tour, we put up our maple syrup. We have a mini setup that we set up for people to understand what's going on. A few years ago, a friend of mine started doing maple syrup, and I got interested in it, and he helped me get started. So anyhow, we ended up tapping a few trees that year, and it seemed like it grew ever since. And at first we did it kind of crude, cooking it. Then we started improving. But anyhow,
We've been doing it for how many years?
I don't know, quite a few.
Yeah.
Quite a few years. But what we do is we go down, we drill holes in the trees about 3 feet up, and then we can hang this bucket up to collect the maple syrup.
And here's the spigot that goes into the tree.
Or we also drill a hole and hang a spigot, and we hang the bag on.
And then this has the same hook that goes into the tree that can be either put on a bag, or we also apply a hose and put it directly into a bucket.
Okay, so where would you need that compared to that?
Some trees will give us a lot more than what that bag will hold, and some trees I go up to 5 to 6 hoses. So that's one reason we use more hoses. Basically I just go 3 hoses because anything over that, the buckets start to run over sometimes, and then they're hard to get out. But what we do is we go down and we collect all the sap, and then we put it into a barrel, and then we transport it up here where we cook. But one thing, to get the maple syrup, it needs to be like 26 or so at night, and then it needs to warm up in the daytime to get the maple syrup to run. It's like a pump, and it pumps the syrup up out of the ground, or the white syrup we call it, which would be
the sap.
This is what the sap looks like coming out.
It's almost like water, right?
Yeah, it looks like water, but it'll be a little sticky. And this is what it looks like when we're all done.
Cooking it.
When we're done cooking it.
Is the sap almost sweet, or is it?
It is very sweet.
It's very sweet.
And sticky.
Yeah. Anyhow, then after we bring it up here, we take the barrels and we transport them in. We pump it into the bath.
And then this is always full of wood. It takes a lot of cleaning of wood to keep this fire hot and going so that we can keep this boiling and cook it down faster that way.
What do you use for ventilation on those?
We have some fans over here with pipes. You can explain that one.
No. What we do is we hook up our pipes to the burners, and then we pump air into it to get it to burn faster. This is kind of a little makeshift shed that we made to kind of keep the smoke and that not running back on it. But this way with the fans, it burns a lot faster and it gets hotter. And that way we can speed our cooking time up.
We have this center vat here as kind of a pre-warmer so that we don't have to directly put cold sap into here. We can preheat it and keep the temperature up.
Does it get really smoky in here, or is there something to deter that?
If the wind's in the wrong direction, it's very smoky.
Yes, yes, it gets very smoky.
Okay.
When the sap is, usually it takes normally about 8 hours to cook one of them down. It depends on what the weather is doing and what it's doing. But then we pull the vat off.
And we slide it onto this tray here. And we have a spigot on the end here so that we can let it all flow out into our containers that we're going to then take to the house to finish cooking it.
How long does it take to turn sap into syrup?
Depends how hot your fire is.
That can be, then she finishes cooking it in the house. Explain what you got there then.
Right. So in order to kind of track or know when your maple syrup is ready or done, we use a hydrometer. A hydrometer, basically, it's a weight on the end. And it has marks on here to show us when it's done. There's a cold one and a hot one. So for a cold temperature, you want to have it at 60 degrees. And when you drop this in with the maple syrup in it, you want to float at that mark. If it's cold or if it's hot, you want to float here, and then you know you have about the right consistency for the maple syrup.
What's the hardest part about making maple syrup?
Well, as you see here, this is a 55-gallon barrel, and what we end up with is about 1 gallon of maple syrup out of this whole barrel of sap.
How much does
it requires a lot of cooking and cutting trees, splitting wood. That's probably about the hardest part, is to get the heat source so that you can cook it as quickly as possible.
How much do you make per quart
of maple syrup?
Yeah.
You'll see it at the stores or what we do. I don't know. We haven't
Around
sold
$18. Some people sell it. I've seen
For a
advertised
quart,
for $18 a quart, but we don't sell ours.
We've only done it a little bit, but otherwise, most of it is for us or for sharing with other people.
Okay.
Especially the ones who come and help us, which happens to be Eli.
For how many years? I know we've been helping you for 5 years now, I think.
Okay.
Started as my 4th grade project. I'm a sophomore, so.
Oh, okay.
And then, I don't know how long you've been doing it before then, but yeah, at least 5.
Right. That would indicate at least 5. I would say we've been doing it for 7 or 8 years.
It was before my accident.
Oh, that's true too. So I guess maybe 10 years.
Yes, 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we're kind of cutting back. We used to tap out 70 trees or more. This past spring,
We were back to about 50.
we did about 50 trees. And it can be pretty challenging. Another hard part about maple syrup is to know when to tap the trees, because the weather can change quite a bit. So you always want to make sure that it's freezing at night and thawing in the day.
Usually early spring.
Sometimes end of February into March, and the sap season can vary from a month long to a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
If you want to see more of it, come to Suhr's open house when they have their King Days, and you'll see everything. It may not be professional, but it's the way it is. It's the way it's in its everyday clothes. So if you want to see it, come and visit it.
Yeah.
Hi there,
my name's Angela Winters, and this is my son Memphis. And the things that we bring to tours, one of the big attractions is usually, has always been, Rosemary, who's the mom here, and Rosemary. And then eventually we took Joseph, and then our first year with the baby, the second baby over there was Benjamin, and I think that was last year. And so they really enjoy going over there for the few days, seeing all the kids, letting them feed them treats and whatnot, and it's really fun for us to get them associated with people and just entertained as well. So
we also had the dad, which we had to sell to someone else because when Rosemary had Joseph, he would keep kicking him and doing all that jazz, and
he was
being mean to him.
He was mean, so we had to. We didn't get him fixed like we got these guys fixed, because donkeys can get aggressive sometimes.
How did? Is there a color type for what Joseph is?
Well, he's just called a white spotted, and his dad was the same color. And then Rosemary's what they call your typical dark brown, and then a lot of the ones that are this color usually have this stripe that goes down their back. It's a cross, and then obviously Benjamin, who's over there by the horse, and her name is Boston. He turned out to be like his mom. So Joseph looks like his dad, and Benjamin looks like mom.
And we never thought this, but when Rosemary had Joseph, she just had him at night.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's not usual.
They usually have them right in the morning, but that's okay. Anyway, so what their main purpose is, for here anyway, I guess when I originally got them, I got Rosemary for a pet, actually her mother for a pet. And then she had Rosemary, and then it became more so when I moved to the country and had more animals, they actually keep the coyotes away. So I have chickens and ducks and a goose and cats and a pot-bellied pig and a couple other different pigs in the kennel or cage over there. And they basically keep everything away so that I don't have to worry about anything getting hurt. So that's what donkeys are good for, besides just they're lovey and
they're kind of protection.
They're good to have around for protection.
What's your favorite part about keeping donkeys?
My favorite part about keeping donkeys? Probably, personally, I suppose when I come home and they hee-haw and get excited when I'm here. And they make me feel like they care about me, like I care about them.
And the bad part is, they always want to they always want to get behind the horse and try to get hurt.
What's the hardest part about having donkeys?
The hardest part about having donkeys? I would say I have a lot of things in the same area. So I've got the donkeys, the horse, the pig, and the other two pigs. And the hardest part is donkeys are kind of selfish with food. And so when you feed the donkey, if you don't feed the donkeys when you feed everything else, they can get a little bucky and they can hurt them. They could hurt them possibly. So you have to be really careful to make sure that you don't like give anything else around them food if you don't give them food, because they get kind of pushy with it. And that would be the hardest part.
And when we give them food, we have to throw it way out so they can have their own separate area.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
This is Gary the goose, and why we named him Gary is it's kind of rhyming with goose, so we thought it would be a good name for him.
And he's new to our acreage, and I adopted him from a friend, and some geese can be very aggressive, but Gary, hi Betsy, Gary seems to be pretty friendly. Memphis takes him to fair, and we're hoping next year, well, this year was supposed to be his first year at the tour days, but we're hoping that next year when we have it, he'll be doing just fine like he is now. We'll be able to bring him in.
What type of goose is Gary?
He's called a Peking goose, white Peking. So, yep, this is the kind of goose that they
this would be the kind of goose that they'd probably, I think they would be commercial for food.
And he's kind of not used to the water. He is kind of used to the water, but not. He likes to go in the water and kind of like swim around, but like 5 seconds and he's already out because it's probably cold and doesn't want to be in the water.
How many pounds do you think Gary is?
My guess would be about, I would think 10. That would be my best guess because they have a lot of feathers, so they look a lot bigger than they really are.
I'm guessing 15.
I would guess 10, and then he actually keeps himself this clean. I don't have to give him a bath. He goes up to the water and cleans himself and hangs out with the ducks and the chickens, and he actually kind of watches over everything just like the donkeys do. Geese are very, they can be very vocal, and they can kind of warn you when there's danger in the area. So whenever he honks or whenever he makes a different noise, then I know that something maybe isn't right or he's uncomfortable.
Does he grow out his feathers in the winter?
No, he pretty much looks the same. And he stays in the...
We really don't know because we didn't get him in the winter.
Yeah, we've had him through the... He was in the Quonset building with the chickens. So...
How thick do you think his down is?
How thick? Oh, I don't know. What do you... I'm not sure, Eli. What do you think?
I'm guessing maybe.
Half inch? Inch?
Over here, it's more like an inch.
Inch? Yeah. I'm thinking it's an inch. And that's just in the summer. So I suppose in the winter, they really can get a thick down going.
What's the hardest part about keeping a goose?
Hardest part about keeping a goose? I gotta tell you, I don't think...
We were going to clip him so he didn't fly away, but he doesn't fly away.
He's Mark.
He maybe if somebody's like chasing him like we were, he might get his wings out and try to fly a little. But
he could probably get like six inches off of the ground.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But
he doesn't fly away. But he
puts his wings out when somebody's running after him.
And I got to be honest with you, I don't think there's anything hard about keeping a goose. I guess he just kind of blends in with everything.
What do you like about having geese?
What do I like about having him?
Yes.
Honking. He honks when he's happy. And he gets along with the donkeys and everything else.
Stop.
And he just kind of blends in and makes everything look a little bit more fun.
What are you doing?
He's going to go.